r/AskReddit, what is your horror story from DNA tests like 23andMe? Is she okay? My sister found out that half our mom's side of the family are products of incest. Up and until a few great aunts and uncles. How did that show up? When my sister started doing genealogy, she found out that my grandparents, dad's parents, were first cousins. Appalachia in the 40s. Cousin marriages were pretty common, lol. Well, it's not my horror story. But police arrested the guy who murdered my mother decades ago because someone in the killer's family used one of those tests. The submitted DNA allowed them to get a match on a grandparent, and a couple of years later, when they subpoenaed his DNA to corroborate their other police work, he confessed. It took 40 years, but I imagine this is a hell of a horror story for him. He wasn't ever a suspect before the DNA match. I'm sorry you lost your mom, and she deserves justice. Someone in my grandparents' generation gave up a baby for adoption 60 years ago, and our family still doesn't know/won't admit who it was. She only joined 23andMe because her daughters encouraged her to find out more about her birth family for health reasons. We now have family members who won't take the test. Stuff like this was surprisingly common back then. They'd either give the baby away, or the parents would raise them as a new sibling with a massive age gap. My cousin, trying to scam the government claiming minuscule percentage Native American, submitted a sample. What did happen was 4 children he fathered with 4 women other than current wives found him. And current wives? Haul up. My grandfather did not die when my dad was 4 like we always thought. Instead, he faked his death, walked 1,500 kilometers to the other end of the country, married a 16-year-old girl and had 7 more children. All the while leaving my grandmother to bring up the 6 children he had with her and his 2 children from an earlier marriage. Worst part was that he used the same names for the second batch of kids as his first lot. One of my best friends called me one day in a panic. She did one with her father for fun. He is not her father. Turns out Mummy has many skeletons in the closet. Bio dad never knew she existed and was so happy to find her. We now doubt her sister's father is her father. Just a gigantic domino effect of not good. Man, poor dad. The one who raised her, I mean. Shitty mom though. My mother was one of 7 children of an abusive mother and beloved father. 20 grandchildren, my cousins, my brother, and me. Through testing, some cousins have determined that at least 3 of the 7 children were not the biological offspring of my grandmother's husband. We aren't telling all the other cousins until the last uncle dies. He's 93. My kid took the test, and 8 years later, introduced me to a half-sister I never knew I had. My father had remarried and had a son I knew about, but this younger sister took us both by surprise. And the father in all this has passed on, so I got a sister now. Not a horror story, but certainly unexpected. My sister did 23andMe and matched with a niece. Apparently my brother 40M, unbeknownst to him, has a daughter. From her age we can tell she must have been born when my brother was in high school. The bio mom must have given her up for adoption without telling my brother. No bad feelings, they would have been so young, like 15 years old, so it was for the best. I thought I was all French, turns out I'm very English. We always knew my grandma had my dad before she got married, but through ancestry we found out she actually had another baby, after my dad but before she got married, different dads. Not a horror story, just made me sad. I did it B/C, I'm adopted and I've always wanted to find relatives. Found a couple of first cousins. I sent a letter to the relative, telling my story briefly. After many months, she contacted me and filled me in on some family history, including that they told my birth father, but he wants no contact. I have 3 half-siblings that I have not been able to contact. The cousin sent me some photos, and I look exactly like several members of the family. Not a horror story, but the opposite. My mom always told me my father wasn't my biological father. I hated her for telling me and didn't want to believe it. A few years after I did 23andMe, I checked my shared DNA list and saw a cousin I was close to, from my paternal side. I was so relieved and happy and thankful I never told anyone what my mom told me. One of my great uncles got contacted by a woman who said he was her father, after she took a test through one of those sites. He denied it vehemently, and it caused some strife in the family until it was revealed that it was actually his older brother who was the father. Turns out he was kind of a cat in his youth, and never found out until now. Damn. Was this only a recent discovery for both of his families? I did ancestry and found a half-sister who's in between my younger sister and I, same dad. We love our new sister, but I'm sick of my dad's narcissist BS and went NC. The wife and I both got tested. She had an incredible background. North American First Nations, South American, Portugal and all over Europe. It was so cool. When I got mine back it said, "You're Scottish mate." Edit, in no way did I mean to imply I was unhappy with my results. I just found it hilarious if you compared the findings. My mum was super excited to do one, wanted to know all the exotic places she might be from. The answer? You're from where you currently live. 100%. Her family are clearly not very adventurous. I did ancestry DNA a few years ago. Found out my father sexually assaulted over 50 women. My maiden name is extremely German sounding, but I have not a trace of German blood. I match with people with my maiden name, so my paternity is not in question, but somewhere something is amiss. I have my family tree documented back to the 1500s in Germany, so maybe someone was adopted or illegitimate and it's just not documented. I also have a very German last name and no German blood. Was always told my family is German as a kid. Nope. Not even a little bit. I'm the product of rape and my mom was pregnant with me when she met my dad. My biological father is dead, but I have a bunch of half-siblings who are pretty cool now. I am estranged from my family of origin. They disowned me because I'm gay. So I don't know if they know, or if they always knew. Turns out one of my half-siblings is also gay and their parents are super supportive and threw a coming out party. Weird how stuff works out. Ah, Jesus Francis Christ. I feel for you. All of this is reminding me of an Isaac Asimov short story about a machine that allowed people to see the past. The government suppressed it because it would make lying impossible, and the moral of the story was basically that society cannot function without lies. My best friend found a whole new family and was also the product of a brief romance. The man who married her mum and was a deadbeat dad wasn't actually her real dad. It was very big emotionally charged time. Not me, but my co-worker found out his bio dad was not who he thought he was. Turns out he is one of the many children of fertility Dr. Donald Klein. There's a Netflix doc about him if you've never heard about him. Not me, but a friend. She had no idea who her father was, as her mum was being a dick and not saying anything. After her mother's death, she decided to do a DNA test and found she has 9 half-siblings so far, all with different mothers. 4 of them are the result of rapes back in the 50s and 60s. Most of them didn't know the father. His name is now known, but he's long dead. My best friend's father is my father. We were 40 when we found out. We were born 7 months apart, meaning her mother, my mom's best friend, was very pregnant when I was conceived. I just asked someone on another comment if their situation was related to this case. I can't believe he did what he did. Dr. Klein's story, link. Found out, doing the ancestry DNA, that my paternal grandmother cheated on her husband with her, also married, family doctor. My dad has brothers and a sister that he never knew about. Dad says that the doctor must have known. He looks exactly like his brothers, and the doc used to always call him son during his appointments. His dad, that raised him, also must have known, cause he treated him like crap, and made backhanded comments that, knowing what we know now, tell us he knew. Or suspected at the very least. My mom's generation has been really big into tracing our family tree. Turns out grandpa had 2 families, that we know of. If that wasn't enough to discourage my family from uncovering skeletons, a few years later one of my cousins took a 23andMe test to find out that our grandfather is also her dad. Uneasy face. How terrible for your aunt. Did your cousin mention it to her mother? So your grandfather either impregnated his daughter or his daughter-in-law? Am I family mating right? Wow. I hope your family is doing alright. Hello everyone. Thanks for sticking to the end of this video. I really appreciate it. I just wanted to humbly ask you to subscribe to the channel. According to my statistics, 100% of my viewers in the past 28 days are not subscribed. I have always wanted this channel to reach 1000 subscribers, and if you want to support and be a part of that, subscribe. It's free and it's an awesome way to support the channel. Thanks again. Reddit glitch out.